Today, we are going to be discussing some not at all controversial topics within gaming: EA, loot boxes, and Anthem. It's gonna be an interesting one, so let's get started. What is up, guys? Rick Cacus here, and today we are going to be discussing the elephant in the room when it comes to modern gaming, which is microtransactions and loot boxes. Now that's because some new information came out involving EA, everyone's favorite publisher, and these topics. And it definitely does relate to Anthem. Because we cover Anthem on this channel, we are going to give this an Anthem focus, but it impacts other games as well. Now, I've been covering Anthem in the form of Anthem updates. It's a game that I personally am very interested in. Firstly, it's a loot-based game. I just fell head over heels in love with loot-based games, with especially Borderlands. Covered it on my channel way back when, transitioned that into Destiny and Destiny 2, and I'm really just waiting for that next a great offering in the loot-based game arena. And Anthem certainly does look, like it has potential. It's made by the people who made Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, not Andromeda, and it's just, from what we've seen in terms of gameplay, it looks sweet. But it's always been mired in controversy. Actually, it's been mired in controversy especially over the last 6 months or so, and that's because of a certain game I'm sure you've heard of, Star Wars Battlefront 2. Star Wars Battlefront 2 is undoubtedly one of the most egregious and ridiculous examples of loot boxes gone too far. Not only were they really the entire progression of the game, but they were actually and literally pay to win. Loot boxes contained items that would increase your rate of fire, increase your health, which of course would give the people who spent real life money ridiculous advantages over those who didn't. And it was really kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. The gaming community really rallied behind the ridiculousness of this game and just said, no, we don't want this. Star Wars Battlefront 2, especially, it shares the same name of one of the most beloved games of all time. The original Star Wars Battlefront 2, my goodness, me personally, I spent hours and hours and hours playing that game. Remember Hunt, Wampas versus Rebels on Hoth, and let's not forget Heroes versus Villains on Mos Eisley. It is a cherished game. So much time was spent in that game. It was so much fun, and then it's so sad to see its spiritual predecessor just be ruined by microtransactions. Now, of course, EA published that, and now everyone's looking to future EA games coming out and saying, will they pull that stunt again? And I think that is a very legitimate concern. If you were hyped for Anthem before, you saw what happened to Star Wars Battlefront, you can't help but now be concerned. Are they going to turn Anthem into a pay-to-win game, or a game that focuses way too much on microtransactions? Certainly, the worry for a loot-based game is that you can get loot via paying. What if you could get engrams in Destiny? What if you could pay to get chests in Borderlands? That would completely corrupt the experience of the entire game. However, my stance on the situation has always been, and I said it last time I did an Anthem video, to just be reasonable. If you are someone who is so blinded by hype that you can't ask the proper questions when it comes to Anthem, and you have literally no concerns, you're saying it's going to be the best game ever made, that is really not the best approach. But in the same vein, if you're someone who's turning up to every Anthem video commenting, Anthem 100% trash game guaranteed, EA published it, or I've seen so many videos just saying Anthem is trash for no reason other than EA is making it, I think that's similarly ridiculous. To say that a game that we really don't know too much about is guaranteed to be trash just because it's published by EA, that is not a great approach. And, I could name any number of EA games, the Battlefield series, the original Mass Effect series, Titanfall 2, I could go on, Dragon Age, that were fantastic and didn't have egregious microtransactions. So again, a balanced approach of, potentially being excited for a game, but also being wary has been the stance I have taken since the very beginning. However, some new information came out that really is promising, frankly. It's something that should quell the fears of a lot of the people who, again, don't want Star Wars Battlefront 3, in essence, to happen with Anthem, with Battlefield 2018, with whatever EA game next to be released. So, EA executive and former DICE boss, Patrick Soderlund, who is now a chief design officer, was speaking to The Verge about this topic, and he's quoted as saying, "I'd be lying to you if I said that what's happened with Battlefront and what's happened with everything surrounding loot boxes and these things haven't had an effect on EA as a company, and an effect on us as management. We can shy away from it and pretend like it didn't happen, or we can act responsibly and realize that we made some mistakes and try to rectify those mistakes and learn from them." So, a promising start, stating publicly that they went too far with microtransactions in Star Wars Battlefront 2 and that that was a pure mistake. But he continues and talks about future games. "We have taken significant steps as a company to review and understand the mechanics around monetization, loot boxes, and other things in our game before they go to market." He continues, "For games that come next, for Battlefield or for Anthem, players have made it very clear that we can't afford to make similar mistakes, and we won't." So this isn't just some random programmer, this is a top exec saying, quite literally, we will not make the same mistakes that we made with Star Wars Battlefront. And frankly, this is a big deal. And if you're someone who is interested in Anthem, this is fantastic news. Now, I know people are going to try to minimize this news and say, oh, well, of course they have to say that. They're probably going to find a way to put microtransactions in anyways. But I don't think that's necessarily the case. You need to understand the gravity of this situation. Again, a top EA exec isn't overheard in a conversation. He comes out publicly stating that Star Wars Battlefront 2 was a mistake, that they went too far, and that they will not make the same mistakes. What's really happened here is a pendulum. It swung too far in the loot box's direction with Star Wars Battlefront, and now it's swung in the other direction because of the outrage and because of the lost revenue. Star Wars Battlefront 2 sold way less than EA expected. They missed their projected targets because of said outrage. If they are just a, as many people think, a greedy company, they're still going to dial back loot boxes because they realize that a well-received game that doesn't have controversy surrounding it is going to sell better and make them more money. So the benefit for us players and the benefit for anyone watching who is interested in Battlefield or especially Anthem is that Star Wars Battlefront 2 died so that Anthem and the next Battlefield game and so on could live a life without being infested by microtransactions. Now, previously, we really didn't know anything about the microtransactions within Anthem, but judging by this statement, I think there's a significant chance that there will not be any sort of loot boxes within Anthem. In fact, there's a pretty significant chance that Anthem won't have microtransactions altogether, at least at launch. And if they are introduced, perhaps it'll be something as minimal as an in-game store for cosmetic items a la Fortnite. But regardless, I think the fact remains that the chances we're going to get another Star Wars Battlefront is zero, with EA saying we are not doing the same thing again. Now, with all of that being said, I think it's important to state that microtransactions are not always inherently evil. Now, I know saying that is just people are going, oh, wait, what did you say? But I point to Fortnite. Fortnite, like the world's most popular game right now, absolutely like 30 million players or something, ridiculous popularity. But it has some pretty ridiculous microtransactions. Like $20 for a skin. Has anyone stopped to think of how crazy that is? That's an entire Destiny expansion. That's a House of Wolves expansion for a skin in Fortnite. Now, of course, the defense for that is it's free to play. And that's my point. If you can perceive value that these microtransactions cause. In Fortnite, it's a completely free-to-play game that's getting updated all the time, and it's a really fun game. So people are totally okay with having $20 skins or ridiculously priced skins because you don't have to buy any of that stuff, and again, it's free. I think if games move in this direction, for example, Call of Duty is having these stupid loot boxes for forever now. At what point are they going to realize that if they offered free DLC maps instead of charging the, $15 they normally do, people would be way more okay with the loot boxes. I'm okay with loot boxes if we're going to get constant free expansions in a Call of Duty so everyone gets those new maps. Same with Destiny 2. Fine, Eververse can exist, but why don't we get the expansions for free? That would certainly boost the player base, and it would make people more, I think, willing to spend money on Eververse because there's that perceived value. You don't feel bad spending money on microtransactions if you're having a ton of fun in the game and if you're enjoying constant content updates. There's several other games I could point to that utilize microtransactions well. Warframe, Path of Exile, these are fantastic games. The problem with the AAA games, like Destiny 2, like we saw with Star Wars Battlefront, like Call of Duty, like, Shadow of Mordor, is that they want it all. They want to charge you $60 for a game, and then they want to charge you for the DLC, and then they want to have microtransactions. That's where things get ridiculous. And there's no value proposition there. You don't feel like you're gaining anything as a player for having these microtransactions available to buy, like you do when you're playing a free-to-play game. The landscape for gaming is changing, and the good news is that gamers can make a difference. If it wasn't for the outrage that, gamers brought to EA because of Star Wars Battlefront 2, we wouldn't be seeing these type of changes. But thankfully, gamers banded together and really told EA to stop, and undoubtedly, other companies, and especially EA, have noticed that. So hopefully we can move in a better direction moving forward. Guys, that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed and found this interesting. It's certainly an interesting discussion. And if you guys want to see more Anthem content, please be sure to slap that subscribe button. Now, if you guys want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.